Hi and welcome to the Money Move Studio. Today we're chatting all things arbitrage. If you enjoy the content, please do like and subscribe. A little love goes a long way. Okay, Paul. So we all know you love arbitrage, or the street name Arb, but the margin has been really tight the past year. Is it still worth it as an investment option in 2026? I do think you think that because it's part of your personal pick portfolio, also known as Paul's cowboy portfolio. But before I hear why you still think it's an amazing investment, please provide some context as to why there was this low margin and why it's this tight.
Ingrid, so as you know, arbitrage is probably the best investment that I've ever made in my life. We've been doing it since 2018. And while it's not the best investment, it's the second best investment, because the best investment, we got engaged, okay? We got engaged, yay, okay. So you are my best investment. But arbitrage is a close second. It's been unbelievable over the last almost 10 years now. So when I started, the margin was 7%. So that means for every 100,000 Rand that we invested, the next day we would get back 107,000 Rand. That's a 7,000 Rand profit in a day, and we just keep doing that over and over again. Over the years, every year, it does tighten the margin, and it's exactly what we expected to do, because if you have a gap in the market, there's one cheap market and then there's an expensive market, what will naturally happen, and it's happened for a million years across different markets, is that everyone will buy in the cheaper market. That kind of drives the price up, and everyone will sell in the more expensive market, driving the price down. So over time, that gap will always close. Today, the margin in January 2026 was roughly 0.35%, meaning that now for every 100,000 Rand that we trade with, we only make about 350 Rand. But I think in terms of margin, we know that arbitrage is not what it used to be. The better exercise is to compare it to the alternatives in the market as we see it. So how does arbitrage today at the current margins compare with your money in the bank, the bond market, the stock market? And then we can determine, is it still worth it, or is this the end of the road?
So viewers, please check out our previous mini-series that we created. It literally goes into the nitty-gritty of how it works. We've covered everything you should know. From what is arbitrage, DIY or use a company, profits, the risks, capital requirement, and then last but not least, the tax implications. So Paul, I'm super keen to jump into the numbers to compare how the return on investment on arbitrage compares to that other options in the market, like the stock market or just the bond market. But before we get there, just give me that quick 1-minute lowdown of exactly what is arbitrage. Go!
All right, Ingrid, so arbitrage is when there's a product that's trading at different prices in different markets. So, for example, you get a packet of knickknacks, that's the one we always use in South Africa. That's maybe 10 Rand a packet of knickknacks. In America, that same packet of knickknacks is $1. So 10 Rand in South Africa, $1 in America. $1 is equal to 15 Rand, let's say, just for an example. So 10 Rand in South Africa, 15 Rand in America. So what if you could buy as many packets of knickknacks you can get your hands on, fly it over to America, sell it there, buy it here for 10, sell it for 15, you would make 5 Rand profit per packet of knickknacks. So that's all we do. We buy, we sell, we buy, we sell, and we do it with various assets, and we make money being the middleman. That's arbitrage.
Viewers, we've made a fantastic flow diagram that explains all the steps. So just click on the link in the description below and we will send you the flow diagram. Paul, we are ready. Let's jump into the numbers. I want to see, is Arb still worth it? Take it away.
So for arbitrage, just to set the scene, there's 2 income sources. The one is your money in the bank, because your money is essentially every day in the bank before we trade, and it ends in the bank at the end of the day. So you get return in interest in the bank. The second source of income is, of course, the arbitrage trades. So you would send your money back and forth, and you would make some money on every single trade. So those are the 2 sources. What are the interest or the margins at the moment for our base case? In the bank, you get 5%. 5% return per year on your capital, and arbitrage is 0.35% as it was in January 2026. So this will be our base case. Let's fire. So we assume a capital value of 200,000 Rand, that is the standard in the market. So if you get your 5% savings, that is 10,000 Rand, 200,000 Rand times 5%, that's 10,000 Rand. And then the arbitrage, if you do 0.3% times the 11 million, because back and forth, you end up with 38,500 Rand. So your return for the year would be 10,000 Rand in the bank, 38,500 Rand arbitrage trade, that gets you to 48,500 Rand. If you take 48,500 Rand divided by the 200,000 Rand capital investment, that is a return of 24%. Let's compare. The bank account gives you 5%, the bond market's average gives you 8%, and the stock market average is 12%. 24% arbitrage, I mean, take my money.
0.35 is the current margin, and what if it doesn't hold? So I kind of just want you to paint a bearish and bullish case scenario for me.
Perfect, so let's do bearish case first. So let's assume you only get 0.2% instead of 0.35%. So let's run the numbers. The bank account, you would still get your 5% on your 200,000 Rand capital. So that's 10,000 Rand in Rand terms return. And then you get 0.2% on your arbitrage, your 11 million, back and forth. And that gives you 22,000 Rand. So in total, you make 10,000 Rand in the bank, 22,000 Rand arbitrage to get to a total of 32,000 Rand. Then take the 32,000 divided by your capital input of 200,000 and that gives you an ROI of 16%. In the bearish case, I mean, that's still better than the
5% in the bond market and the 12% in the stock market. Okay, I see where you're going. So surprise me with the bullish scenario now.
So let's do 0.5% now. So 0.5%, let's run the numbers. You get your 5% in the bank, that equates to 10,000 Rand interest. Then you also get 0.5% arbitrage margin on your 11 million, back and forth. That gives you 55,000 Rand in return. Put the two together, 10,000 Rand savings, 55,000 Rand arbitrage, that's 65,000 Rand. Divide the 65 by your 200,000 capital input, and that gives you 32% ROI. Not bad.
So Paul, we know that that is now for an individual, and it almost excites me to know that we are about to get married because the Holy Grail lies in the element of being married. And I'm starting to realize you did ask me to marry you because you love me, right?
Of course.
But the Arb is a big benefit.
Of course. So when you're married, there's two massive advantages if you want to Arb. The first one is that you can combine your capital. So either the one spouse gives the full 200, the other spouse piggybacks, or you do some kind of 50-50, 100-100 each. But as a household, you give the 200,000 Rand, not 200,000 Rand each. And the second big advantage is that you are two individuals within a household, which means 11 million for spouse 1, 11 million for spouse 2. As a household, you can now take your 200,000 Rand and you can trade it back and forth up to 22 million Rand. That is double the trades, that is double the profit. Let's run the numbers again as a household. Base case, you get your 5% on your 200,000 Rand investment, that's 10,000 Rand. Now you make 0.35% on spouse number 1, that gives you 38,500 Rand. And you also make 0.35 on spouse number 2, another 38,500 Rand. That gives us a total of 10,000 Rand in the bank, 77,000 Rand in arbitrage to a total of 87,000 Rand. If you now divide that by your 200,000 Rand capital input, that's an ROI of 43%. Take my money.
Okay, Paul, so what are we waiting for? Let's get married. Okay, viewers, I hope this got you excited. If you do want to receive the flowchart, please just click on the link in the description below and we'll send that to you, or otherwise reach out. We'd love to chat. See you next week. Oh, no, see you next time.